The movie starts with an exciting short documentary about Uncle Drew, a famous basketball player who played in the Rucker Classic. We learn about his incredible skills from basketball stars like Steve Nash, Joe the Destroyer Hammond, and Dikembe Mutombo. Even Jerry West, a respected figure in basketball, thinks Uncle Drew could have been the face of the NBA logo instead of himself. In the summer of 1968, Uncle Drew and his childhood friends reached the top in the first ever Rucker Classic tournament. They were doing great and had big dreams. However, things took a turn for the worse when rumors started spreading. It was said that Uncle Drew had a romantic encounter with a teammate's girlfriend right before the championship game. The results were quick and harsh. Uncle Drew's performance in the championship game suffered due to the problems, and as a result, their chances of winning fell apart. After that, Uncle Drew disappeared mysteriously, and we still don't know what happened, leaving many questions and an empty spot on the basketball court. Now let's jump to the present day, where we meet Dax Winslow, a dedicated basketball coach determined to bring back the glory of the Rucker Classic. He has a team of talented players, but Casper is the brightest star who can make their dreams come true. Dax works hard to help Casper reach his full potential, always staying positive and committed because he knows that their hopes rely on this young player. One day, during a tough practice session, a surprising person shows up on the court, Mookie, who has been Dax's rival for a long time. Mookie has won the Rucker Championship 7 times out of 9, and he enjoys teasing Dax, reminding him of his success. Dax is confident, believing in his team's abilities this year. However, Mookie subtly suggests that star players like Casper might be tempted to join him because of his impressive track record, making Dax worry that his players might leave for Mookie's team, and he won't be able to stop them. After Mookie left, Dax tried to have an honest talk with Casper, asking if there was anything he wanted or needed. Casper knew that Dax worked at a shoe store, so he asked for a special pair of expensive Jordans. Dax didn't want to discuss it and promised to buy them once the sneakers arrived at the store. That night, as Dax fell asleep, his dreams took him back to his childhood when he lived in an orphanage and no one wanted to adopt him. He felt very lonely, but it was during that time that he developed a deep love for basketball. He gave his all to the game and achieved great success until middle school. He used to win all the time, until one day, Mookie blocked his shot, causing their team to lose. That event ruined Dax's reputation, and even now, it still troubles him and comes back to haunt his dreams. The pain from that memory lingers and keeps replaying when he sleeps restlessly. Dax has a girlfriend named Jess, who dreams of becoming rich and owning a Tesla car someday. Right now, she's the one taking care of their finances. One day, Casper and his friends visit the shoe store where Dax works, expecting him to keep his promise to get them some shoes. Dax is in a difficult situation because he doesn't want them to join Mookie's team, so he reluctantly agrees to buy expensive shoes for all of them, which costs almost $1,000. When Dax's payment card is declined, Jess steps in and pays for the expensive shoes. The next day, Dax is excited to give the team their jerseys, but he's shocked to find out that Casper and the whole group have joined Mookie's team, betraying him. Angry and upset, Dax asks for the shoes back, but they refuse. To make things worse, a video of his struggle to get the shoes back becomes popular online. Jess, feeling ashamed of Dax, ends their relationship and asks him to leave, leaving Dax with just a trash bag of his belongings and no place to stay. Even though he's homeless, he keeps looking for good basketball players all over New York. He wants to form a great team, but it's tough because his team hasn't won any games yet. One day, on a basketball court, an old man watches the young players and criticizes their skills. The young players hear him and challenge him to a game. People don't think the old man can beat the young, energetic players, but he surprises everyone by scoring easily and teaching the young players important lessons. Dax is amazed by the old man's basketball skills. He later finds out that this mysterious player is none other than the famous Uncle Drew. With some uncertainty, Dax asks Uncle Drew to join his team. At first, Uncle Drew is unsure, but agrees as long as he can bring his loyal friends along. With a fresh sense of purpose, they start a road trip in Uncle Drew's reliable van, heading to Washington, D.C. to bring back their old team. During the trip, they have some small arguments because Uncle Drew likes old jazz music while Dax prefers hip-hop. One morning, they unexpectedly stop in front of a church, and they find out that one of their old teammates, Preacher, is now a preacher in the church. Preacher is in the middle of a baptism, and the way he's handling a baby that looks like a basketball surprises Dax. Dax gets involved and accidentally offers himself to be baptized instead of the baby. While this happens, Uncle Drew tells Preacher about their mission, and Preacher is excited to rejoin the team. But there's a problem because Preacher's wife, Betty Lou, strongly disagrees with him returning to the basketball court. Dax and Drew were about to say goodbye when Preacher quietly joined them in Uncle Drew's van. They drove off, but Betty Lou, determined to stop them, started chasing them in her own van. It became a tense race, and Uncle Drew had to run a red light to escape. After a while, they stopped at a gas station to take a break. Dax was curious and asked why they suddenly stopped playing basketball back in 1968. To his disappointment, no one answered. Meanwhile, Preacher asked Uncle Drew about a problem they had with their old teammate, Big Fella. Uncle Drew didn't seem too concerned and said that a basketball game could fix any disagreement. During their journey, they visit an arcade where they find another former teammate, Light, struggling with a challenge. Light's eyesight is getting worse, and he keeps missing shots. Dax, knowing the challenges they're up against, wonders if they can win with players facing such difficulties. But Uncle Drew is determined to stick with the team, and Light agrees to join, even though he can barely see their faces. Their next stop is a retirement home to find another teammate, Boots. They discover that Boots has catatonic schizophrenia, which has left him unable to move for many years. Dax is shocked when Uncle Drew insists on including Boots in the team. Boots' granddaughter, Maya, unexpectedly becomes part of their group, making sure her grandfather is taken care of during their journey. The final person they need for their team is Big Fella, who used to play with them, but has a long-lasting grudge against Uncle Drew. This grudge goes back to when their team fell apart. Big Fella is now a karate teacher. When Uncle Drew cautiously approaches him, he gets punched in the face. Even though Big Fella is hesitant to make amends with Drew, he agrees to join the team, mostly for the sake of the others. With their unusual team all together, they head back to Harlem. But Betty Lou, Preacher's wife, is determined to stop them, and she chases them in her car. Eventually, they manage to escape from her. During a quick break, Dax realizes he doesn't have enough money for gas. He sees a group of skilled female basketball players and makes a spontaneous bet of $100 to see which team will win. Unfortunately, their team of older players and Dax's diverse group of friends loses to the talented girls. At halftime, a sad Dax talks to Uncle Drew and his new teammates, explaining how serious their situation is because he's short on money. Even though they eventually lose the bet, Uncle Drew and the others combine their money to pay off Dax's debt. This shows the true spirit of teamwork and friendship. When they reach Harlem, the group meets up at the familiar basketball court, where they have shared many memories. Uncle Drew brings gifts that he thinks will help his teammates: glasses for Light to improve his vision, Boots' favorite Converse shoes to help him stand again, a cross necklace for Preacher, and a trophy from their childhood tournament for Big Fella. However, Big Fella is still bitter about the past, and he angrily smashes the trophy, showing that he's not over what happened between him and Drew. Meanwhile, Dax goes to Jess's house in Harlem and discovers that she has moved on and is now dating his rival, Mookie. Determined to prove himself, Dax goes back to the basketball court with a new sense of determination. In their first tournament game, they start off strong but eventually lose because of the unresolved issues between Big Fella and Uncle Drew, which is really sad. After the game, Big Fella and Uncle Drew go to Jennifer's grave, who was Big Fella's wife. Finally, they talk about their long-held grudges. It turns out that Drew had betrayed Big Fella by being involved with Jennifer, even though he knew that Big Fella cared deeply for her. Drew admits his feelings for Jennifer, but says that it was a terrible mistake. He sincerely apologizes and Big Fella forgives him, letting go of the past. With their emotional issues resolved, the team starts winning every game they play. They celebrate their victories at a lively nightclub, where they even have a dance-off with younger people, showing their youthful spirit despite their age. Later in the night, there's a touching moment when Maya gets close to Dax, as if she wants to kiss him. But Dax hesitates and pulls back. Seeing this, the older teammates give Dax some valuable advice, encouraging him to seize opportunities and take risks in life. During the tournament, their team keeps winning, and they make it to the important semifinals. If they win this game, they'll face Mookie's strong team in the finals. They start the semifinal game well and have high hopes. But suddenly, Big Fella has a heart attack and needs to go to the hospital. His absence on the court makes the team uncertain, and it's Betty Lou who steps in to help. The day of the finals finally arrives, and there's a lot of tension because of the rivalry between Mookie and Dax. Casper's teasing of Uncle Drew motivates the team. At first, they seem to be losing to the other team, but soon they figure out the other team's strategies and start scoring more points. But then, an unexpected problem happens when Light and Casper crash into a net post. Light hurts his ankle, and he can't keep playing. Dax gets really worried and tries to figure out what to do next. At this important moment, Uncle Drew suggests Dax should join the game himself. Dax is scared because he remembers losing to Mookie back in middle school, and he's afraid of failing again. But with no other choice, he gathers the courage to accept the challenge. Mookie also steps in to replace Casper, making the challenge even tougher for Dax. During the game's intense moments, there's a disagreement between Maya and Jess. The final showdown begins and Mookie scores the first basket quickly. With only 8 seconds left on the clock, Dax has a chance to make the game-winning shot, but he's overwhelmed by memories of past failures, so he calls a crucial timeout. With the support of his teammates, Dax regains his confidence and gets back into the game with a new determination. In an exciting climax, he makes the shot that wins the game, defeating Mookie and earning the admiration of the happy crowd. Mookie shows respect for Dax in a way he never did before. Then, in a touching moment, Dax and Maya share a kiss to celebrate their newfound connection. After their big win, the team goes to the hospital to visit Big Fella. Dax uses the prize money to pay for Big Fella's medical bills. The final scene shows everyone watching an ESPN news report that praises Dax as a hero, remembering his journey of redemption and victory. So the moral of the story is always carry spare sneakers for your friends, because you never know when you'll need to win a basketball game to pay off a gas station bet and avoid dating your rival's ex.